Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Ryan's Travels. My name is Ryan. I'd like to thank you for tuning in. Today, I'm going to talk about STDs. Obviously in Thailand, where I'm at here, I'm not a doctor or anything else like that. This is just from experience and anecdotal experience of my friends. But first, please don't forget to click the like button and subscribe. There's always going to be some interesting stuff on my channel, and I hope that you'll go ahead and take a moment and do that. I'll wait for you to do it. Go ahead. Thank you. I appreciate you subscribing and liking. That was a very fast like and subscribe, but thank you nonetheless. So let's get into our topic of STDs. So the reason why I want to talk about this is because when I first got here, an area where there's like an adult atmosphere, there's a lot of freelancers or prostitutes here. There's go-go bars, there's beer bars, and basically where I'm at in this part of Thailand, Bangkok or anywhere, you can pretty much go out and for the price of a cup of coffee, have a very nice date to take home, some short-term stuff, have some fun, and then they go on their way. And that's a lot of fun. It can be a lot of fun. But what is not a lot of fun is if you end up getting an STD. A friend of mine that has been coming out here for years told me this information, this story when I first got here, and I'm glad that he did. Basically, from his point of view, he had said he actually didn't have sex with a condom a lot of the time. He just didn't like it. And he's past the point in his life where he was worried about getting somebody pregnant. So he was having a lot of sex. Nonetheless, anyway, he ended up getting an STD. He went along and he went to the clinic and he got tested. He didn't actually have an STD at that time, but he'd go back every 2 weeks or so, or every week, because he was very sexually active. So he would go and he would get tested. And of course, I asked him, there's clinics all over the place here. I went up online, I got a copy of their packages that they have, and you can get tested for anything out here, because also like steroids are legal out here. So you can get testosterone tests, like all the medical stuff is way less expensive out here. I mean, a lot less expensive than in the United States. But let me pull this one up here. The first test that they would have is, this is an STD test. You walk in and you think, oh, I can get an STD test. This is great. So it tests for, as you can see here, syphilis, hepatitis, HIV, chlamydia, does a gram stain as well. And that's 700 baht. 700 baht is under $30. I figure at this point I'm making this video, 1,000 baht is like $30, like roundabout. Like I don't get exact about it. So this guy goes in, gets tested, and he thinks everything is great. But then he starts having other symptoms. He's like, well, I have a clear test, but something doesn't feel right in my body. So he goes back and he talks to the clinic. He's like, hey, are you sure the test is right? And they go back and tell him, well, there's another test that you can take as well for STDs, and it's a wider range, which to me doesn't make any sense. I don't know why they would not just have one test for all STDs. I mean, I know why it's, one's a PCR test and, different method, but if you still have the same opportunity of getting an STD, they just have one test for them all. But anyway, they come up with this one, and this is now 5,500 baht, right? And this is from a local clinic here. And what we see on here is mycoplasma stuff here, right? So the really interesting thing is out here is that particular mycoplasma runs rampant around where I happen to be at here, Bangkok, Thailand, or Bangkok, Pattaya, whatever else. And it's very expensive to get. So some people may be getting STD tests thinking that they're clean and going on, when in fact they're just spreading around more of something that they just didn't test for, right? And so this guy had, a girlfriend he had spoken to too, and he asked her, hey, have you ever been tested before for STDs? And she's like, oh yeah, we get it done every month or whatever from my work, whatever else. And he said, oh great, well, can you send me your last test? So after some asking and digging, he did get that test from her. And what it shows is that they only test for HIV. They didn't test for anything else at all. So these girls are going around thinking that they're clean, and not that they shouldn't be having sex with the condom anyway. This is not that conversation, but that they've been having sex and thinking that they're clean and good, or maybe just they're not educated enough to know that there's not just HIV that's horrible for you. There's 14 other STDs as well that can get you, right? And they can be, passing these around without even knowing it, because a lot of these STDs, women will not show symptoms, but it will in a guy. So a guy comes here, he has a good time, he gets drunk, he has less than better judgment, he has sex without a condom, and then ends up going home and giving it to his wife, or whatever it is. It is what it is. I mean, we all know what happens. Or just ends up being single and has it as well. But it's something you have to deal with. Now, the really bad thing about that mycoplasma type of STD is that it takes like 2 courses of medication, and it takes weeks to get rid of it. You have like a week on one drug and a week on another drug. He told me this entire story about it, and he ended up getting it a couple times. So it's just bad news, right? So one thing you have to be careful of is, if you're in America and you have sex without a condom, like there's a chance that you're going to get STDs, but when you come here, you need to understand that the sex trade out here is very big, and there are people that are not bright enough, smart enough, or educated enough, or street smart enough, whatever it is that you may be, or care enough to know any better. And some people just don't care. But it's very important when you come out here, first of all, wear a condom when you have sex. I mean, that would be the most logical thing to say up front. But again, if you are going to have sex without a condom out here, in the end, it's best to wear a condom when having sex in any place, anywhere, anytime, unless you're with your actual girlfriend and you're married or whatever else it is. This is not the sex ed talk that we need to have, but just know that if you are getting tested out here, that there are multiple tests and multiple STDs that you can get. So make sure you take the right test and pay the money for it. It's unfortunate that a lot of people out here don't know any better and they're spreading this stuff around and may not have symptoms, but it keeps going and going and going. So make sure you get tested. And if you get tested, make sure you get taken care of. And I hope that this helped you. If anything, as a warning, to make sure that if you're going to come out to Thailand or anywhere where there's a heavy sex trade, to make sure to always use protection. It's not just about getting someone pregnant. So have a good day. Talk to you guys soon.